Hey, 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 welcome in another episode of JenergyVibes coming at you live. I am so pumped for tonight's conversation. I cannot wait. So, as you're hopping down, please say hello. Tell me where you're tuning in from. If you're catching the replay, hashtag replay, please type in hashtag replay so I can circle back around and say hello to you and thank you for being here. Denise, hello from Houston. All right. Houston is in the house with me. I'm in New York is in the house. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for hopping on. And I just like to make sure that I am live where I'm supposed to be live. So let me just check this out. And it looks like I am. Yay. So we are excited. I have an extraordinary human being with me tonight. You are just, if you don't know her, you're going to love her after you see her this evening. We are here to bring you a really, really rich, meaningful conversation, really focused on what I call the 3 V's: vulnerability, visibility, and voice. Finding your voice, standing in your truth, speaking your truth, showing up fully as you. You know, you get to be all the things because you are all the things. We were just backstage talking about that before we came live. So, yes. Oh, super stoked for this one. Michael Ray, what is up, my friend? Thank you for being here. So, yes. So, my guest tonight, oh my God, Nancy Barrows. Oh, love her. And I've been following Nancy for quite a while now. We have become friends and we have so much in common. And I couldn't have picked a more special, better human being that is in full alignment with me on these topics to join me tonight to really bring the fire on the 3 V's: the vulnerability, visibility, and voice. And so, a little bit about Nancy before I pull her out. Nancy is a keynote speaker, and she actually, so excited for her, she was named one of the 50 most impactful people on LinkedIn in 2021. How exciting is that? Like, so excited for her. And she's also founder of the Chick With The Toolbelt. How cool does that sound? Chick With The Toolbelt program. And this is a guided discovery into finding your voice and how to express it in a way that feels authentic. And she is creator of the amazing hashtag radiating real movement, which I have taken part in because I'm such a believer of what she's doing. And it's which radiating real is all about empowering you to take off your mask and really start to experience the power of truly showing up as you, fully visible as you. And so she's also creator and host. She's so busy, you guys, right? This list is long. She's creator and host of her own LinkedIn live show, Connected Human Conversations. And her show airs live on Sundays, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. She is a live co-host along with Brian Schulman. Brian, what is up, my friend? He's fantastic. And they co-host 2 shows together every Wednesday and every Saturday. And she just shows up and she shines and does what she does best on those 2 shows, which is all about building community and fostering engagement inside that community. And so Nancy is here. I chose her to come on tonight to share this conversation, to bring the fire, bring the value to you guys, because like me, we have so much in common in our journeys getting to where we are today. And I consider Nancy a powerful creator. She is a powerful creator who has thrived through her adversity. And she's now she's holding up that lantern for others to show them the way. So without further ado, I need to bring Nancy out to join me. Are you ready, Nancy? Get out here, girl.
Hey, you make me sound good.
Yes. Who is that woman I'm talking about?
It's sort of weird because I do have a bit of a hard time initially, like connecting with it. It's a lot of words and a lot of accolades. And I don't feel much different than I did, like emotionally I do, but sort of how I live in the world, I don't feel much differently than I did like when I was younger, like, who is this woman who's achieved all this? It couldn't be me. I've only been around for like 12 years, born yesterday.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy to be here. And yes, Jen and I have shared a special bond from the moment we met, and
Yes.
I am very excited to have this conversation. And we were talking backstage about the fact that it's an amazing pairing because we can do deep, but we also know how to make it
Yes.
fun. So,
Yes.
and I think that's really important. There are a lot of important things to talk about. There are a lot of heavy things to talk about, but it doesn't mean we
Mhm.
have to get stuck in that place. I think the
Absolutely.
balance is super important. So, and I see people here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, we got some people on tonight. Thank you
Oh my
everyone for being here.
God.
I do my best. I don't have my glasses on because when I put them on, then when I'm looking at you,
Oh yeah.
like everything's blurry. So
Hi, welcome to 49. I have the same problem.
52 over here. I got my
Yeah,
bifocals.
there you go.
Keeping
Well,
it
my
real,
doctor,
radiating real.
this absolutely. My doctor said to me, she goes, well, maybe you should consider bifocals. I literally said to her, I said, take that back. Don't say that to me.
I got them in my 40s. It's whatever. It is what it is.
I'm really lucky because I'm of that generation where you can just zoom in on the screen. Everything can be bigger.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
I see Kenny D and
Katie
Alex.
J and Jason Lebowitz. Jenny
And
Gold is here. You
Ruth.
see, Katie J is letting me know who's here because he's saying hi to
Yeah, he
everyone.
says hi to everyone. It's amazing.
I
Lydia
know.
Chang, hi. I mean, we could be here forever. I want to
I
say thank you
know.
to everyone for the
Brian's
support
here.
and the love. Yep.
Yeah. I love
Um,
all you guys. Thank you for showing up. I know a
yeah,
lot of you are here because you guys follow Nancy. So but thank you so much for showing up and joining us because it's the energy, right? Like creating this
yeah,
vortex. That's what I'm all about is creating this like high vibe vortex where we are activating the power within each person who's here and then each person who watches us moving forward. Because
yes.
that's what I'm all about is really activating your power within to heal and be a powerful creator and be able to recreate yourself out of any circumstance or any situation.
It is. It's being able to sort of whip up your energy and share it with others is a huge. It's a huge gift to give to others. Like it's
Yeah.
just sharing that space. Is Nancy Deborah who? Hi, Bill Bradford. Oh my gosh, sorry, I could look in the comments all night. So
Alex Bruce.
hi, Alex. Hi, Bill. You guys, thank you for being here. Mariella made it. Patrick. Oh, Patrick, didn't you have to cancel something to be here? So thank you. Katie J never misses
I think
anything.
he finished his clubhouse room. He had a
Oh,
clubhouse
okay,
room
that's what it was.
at
And who else?
7. Patrick, thank you for being here, buddy.
Jamie got the like energetic vibes I was sending out to be here tonight. Denise is here.
Yeah, we
Uh,
got a lot of peeps.
We've got a lot of wonderful peeps. And if you
I
guys don't know,
know.
Kathy Monicati, who is my neighbor and dear friend, is also here tonight. She and
Fantastic.
her husband are the reason I survived the pandemic, quite frankly. I live alone with 2 cats. And so
Cat
my,
lady.
yeah, I'm the cat lady and I'm not real good at feeding myself. I'm not, like, I don't know if I'm not good at being a grown up, but there are certain grown up things that just, I'm not that interested in. So thanks to Kathy, I was fed and laughed a whole lot. And David, her husband. We got to the point where I was at her house so much that when her husband would come in, I'd say, "Hi, honey, I'm home," or "Hi, honey, you're home," because I was already there.
Right. Hi, honey, you're home.
Hi, honey, you're home. But yes,
I
wonderful
love
group.
it.
If you guys are not connected to one another, please reach out and connect with one
Mm,
another.
yeah.
This is a community that we all benefit from growing with
Yes.
and into.
And
So
that's the beautiful thing is, like literally home is where the heart is, right? Like people become family,
yes.
right? And that's been my experience in my life. I've had different seasons with different groups of friends that have come and gone. Sometimes they've gone, but they've come for a reason. They become family.
Mhm. Well,
It's go ahead.
so I know I say it's funny that you say that because it took my divorce to make me realize that
Mhm.
that pruning was constantly happening. But I felt it so deeply when I was going through my divorce because one, my community left. And I was just writing about it today, actually. I showed up real without a mask and it made them uncomfortable.
Mm.
And so they disappeared. They didn't like that I didn't want to play the game anymore. Invite me to your kid's birthday party. No, I'm not coming plastering a smile on my face and eating cake and sitting across the table from my soon to be ex husband as if everything's okay because it's not. I'm not.
Yeah.
And so this whole pruning effect, I realized when I went from like high school to college, friends naturally fell off. When I
Yep.
went from like college GW to UCLA, friends naturally. But because I was always transitioning, it made sense why those people would disappear. But after 12, 15 years of friendship, when I went through my divorce, these people leaving my life, it was devastating and I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And I understand why, but I also understand they were there for a certain period in my life,
Mhm.
and they brought me amazing memories and opportunities of growth and support. And when I grew, anyone who wasn't growing with me in the same direction, right,
Mhm.
was naturally pruned from my life. And I thank the
Mhm.
universe. Like, it was such a
Yeah.
painful thing, but I had a limited source of energy. And
Mhm.
when it became painfully obvious to me that they were not going to be there for me, I remember looking up and going, okay, thank you for making that easy.
Yeah.
I will not spend any more energy there. I mean, one of the people in my group that I've known for 15 years said to me, you said this was going to make you happy, so why aren't you happy?
Mm.
First, let's talk about the fact that I never said it was going to make me happy. I said it was the right thing. It was
Right.
the right thing for me to do. And I never
Right.
expected to be happy while I was going through a divorce or for years
Yeah.
afterward. I
And
knew.
I wanna speak to that because I remember when I had my awakening around what you're talking about, and it was really when I was going through my separation, which ended in divorce, and I had to go to family court to garnish wages, do all that stuff, like, the things you never expect
Mhm.
yourself to have to do, and I remember at an AA meeting, like, it hit me like, "You know what? It's the right thing to do. It doesn't mean it feels good. It doesn't mean I
Oh,
wanna do it. It sucks, but you know what? Sometimes doing the right thing feels like shit and it sucks."
and that's the lie we're told. Like, every good decision you make is gonna feel good. You'll know it's the right
No.
decision because it feels good, and yet like, "Oh, excuse me, I'm calling bullshit." Sometimes the best decision is the hardest, most grueling
Yes.
one to make and go through.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it's not the right decision,
Right.
but life presents us with
Op
adversity. And
opportunity.
yeah, opportunity and adversity, and
Yeah.
we thrive through it and we grow. And it's important
Mhm.
that we understand that it would be lovely if every right decision felt like butterflies,
Oh,
unicorns, and sunshine in a basket,
wouldn't
right?
it? Unicorns and rainbows.
Right? Just
The
that
age
would
of Aquarius, my
Right,
friend.
exactly. If little birds started tweeting around my
Aquarius.
head and mice brought me food and knit my
Oh my god,
clothing or whatever it is,
Cinderella,
right?
Cinderella.
Exactly, then I would know, right? Gus would be there to tell me I'm making the right choice. But
Yeah.
that's just not how life always goes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does, and
Yeah.
sometimes I've made decisions that feel really, 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 really
Yeah.
good and right, and they turn out to not be my best choice, and that's
Right.
okay.
Right.
But
The opposite can happen too. You're
right,
so
and
sure of something,
oh,
and then bam, you're like, "Oh,
yep, oops, yep.
oops."
That's what I mean, at that point, "Oops, move on," what can
Oh,
I
well.
do?
Yeah.
And in the moment, I'm not that flippant, obviously, you feel those things.
Of
I
course,
felt
of
all
course.
of it, and you've heard me say, like, I one of the reasons I tell my story and the way I share the information I do is because if I saw me today here, if I
Mhm.
tuned in
Yeah.
and I saw Nancy Barrows speaking, and I was Nancy Barrows who in my 20s, I would basically be flipping me off. Like, you don't
Yeah.
get it. You don't relate. You don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, you're both together. You're on this show. Look at all this stuff.
Right.
You were one of LinkedIn's top 50 right? So
Yep.
the value is, yes, where I am today, but it has so much more value and meaning if I share the journey, and especially the unsexy, snotty,
Mhm.
ugly parts.
But see, Nancy, that's what makes you, that's what makes me relatable. Like, I don't talk about the past and share my story over and over and over again because I'm still living it and I'm still
No.
identifying with it. That's not why I share it.
Mm,
I share it because it's the real.
right.
It's the raw, it's the real, it's where I come from, and what you see today is not what you got when I was back in my 20s, my 30s, or even my 40s.
No. No,
Yeah.
it's we meet one another where we're at,
Mhm.
which is wonderful. But until we're each willing to share our stories really openly and honestly,
Yeah.
we're hurting one another.
Yeah.
We're really, I mean, like, literally killing one another if you look at social media and the effects of social media. Like, it's
Yeah.
you know, it, my life is perfect. No, I mean, it is, but that doesn't mean it's not without. I'm a positive
Yeah.
thinker. Doesn't mean I don't storm through my house, stomp my feet, and have a tantrum once in a while because it's also unfair and I don't like it.
Right.
I'm human, but I come back to gratitude and I come back to
Right.
positivity. You know,
Right.
it's like that place of I didn't sleep. I had makeup all over my face the next morning because I was too tired to take my makeup off. And you know, I know every woman who's ever worn mascara
I
has
hate
done
that.
that at least
I
once.
hate
Like,
that. I
looking like
know.
a raccoon, right? Your whole face is on the pillow when you wake up.
You're fine when you go to sleep, but then when you wake up, you're like, oh, like
Yeah, that's just
peel my
exactly.
head. Yeah.
Right. So
It's not
whether
pretty,
it's
guys.
right, and whether it's something quote unquote as minor as not taking off my makeup or sharing my
Yeah.
story of having been abused and having an eating disorder and depression,
Yep.
it's all powerful because it's all
Yeah.
relatable. And I mean, honestly, radiating real is not easy to do. You did it. It's
I've
a
done it
brave
many
thing.
times.
Yeah, it's a brave thing to do because you
I
are
was doing
taking
it
up
before
enough.
you even started the movement. I was
That's
showing
true.
up and radiating real,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm
right.
all about, and that's why you
I
and I are
was too. I
so
just didn't know that's like
right. Right.
I didn't pull it all together to realize it was a thing and it's something that needed to be talked about because
Yeah.
so many people, much like you, Jen, when I came on LinkedIn, people were like, "Oh, you're so real, you're so relatable, you're so
Mhm.
authentic." And I thought, gosh,
Am I?
yeah, right. Like they're commenting on my content, which is great. It's
Yeah.
resonating, but they're commenting on me as a being as
Yeah.
if this is
Yeah.
very rare, which made me think
Mhm.
it's not happening enough. It needs to happen more. And hashtag radiating real was born.
Bingo.
Right.
Bingo.
And that
And
was
I wanna speak to because Jason Lebowitz is here tonight, and he makes a very powerful and strong statement with conviction, and I stand behind it with him, and he has is of the belief that, if we don't do something to change things that, connection is gonna become extinct in humanity, you know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
the connection piece is slowly, if not quickly, dissipating. It's melting away with the
Well, and
digital age and all the fronting and the fakeness and the
I can go through my entire day and not see another person. I can order my
Mhm.
groceries online. I do everything at the pump by myself.
Yep.
I can use an ATM. I'm trying to think. There are a million other things in my day that I can do. I don't even have to go to the bank. I can do
I
it from,
know.
from my phone. And
We can
so
order food. Like,
exactly,
the groceries will deliver now.
exactly. And so here we are in an age, like Jason says, where yeah,
Yeah.
our connection.
Yeah.
Um, and because in the
Yeah.
younger generation, they're so phone and screen
Mhm.
based, it's changing people's brains, A, and B, we
Yeah.
are losing that, and it's causing big
Yeah.
issues in our mental health and
Mhm.
our sense of belonging and well-being and connectedness.
Yeah.
We're meant to be together as humans. We are not meant to live by ourselves on an island.
Yeah. We're wired for connection.
Oh, absolutely.
We're
All the
wired
ways
for
we
connection.
respond, our neurochemicals respond to being with
Mhm.
people, to touch, to all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yes, Jason, I agree 1,000%.
Yeah.
It's about and if you're not radiating real, and I did this for years, I'm guilty. You
Mhm.
can only get so close to people if I won't let you see what's really behind
True.
the mask. You think you
True.
know me. People thought they knew me for a long time, but they didn't. And honestly, my
Wow.
story came out because I presented what I wanted. I was a chameleon. I was a great
Mhm.
illusionist.
Mhm.
Um, and it served me when I needed it.
Yeah.
And it's not to say there aren't times we need to sort of there are places and times to put yourself into the crowd in a certain way. Um, but I started sharing my story, I almost say by accident, because I was a week into LinkedIn on the XXO telethon.
Mhm.
And Gabe's segment, Gabe was producing it. I was on Russ John's segment, and I'm talking about my childhood trauma,
Mhm.
my child, and it hits me, Jen. I'm part of the problem. If I won't say the words, if I'm unwilling to say I was sexually abused,
Yeah.
if I'm unwilling to say I was sexually abused by my grandfather, a family member,
Mhm. Yeah.
until I was 16 years old,
Yeah.
who's going to talk about it? And that's where taboo won't do came from.
Yeah. We're
If
the
I'm
only ones who can own that.
right. And you can have a different conversation with someone who's been through what we've been through and
Yep.
different and same experiences in a way it's just, there's a place of understanding and there's a place of
Yeah.
knowing.
Yeah. Yes.
And when you've been in that place of knowing, you can show up differently,
Yeah.
and so can other people.
Mhm.
And not to say we can't be empathetic and do that for other people in many arenas, but I know that there are probably not a lot of people who haven't experienced sexual abuse who are willing to have the conversation and say, hey, listen, you want to hear something really uncomfortable that I struggled with for a really long time?
Mhm.
Every cell in my body was wired to
Yep.
do exactly what it did. Sexual touch, pleasure, worked perfectly, but I
Yep.
didn't want it. So for people to hear that my abuse was pleasurable
Mhm.
is alarming and upsetting and disturbing. But if
'Cause they
you're
don't understand it.
right, but if you're sitting out there and you're a person who has been in that place
Yeah.
or are in that place, and
Yeah.
it gives me chills, and you hear someone say it, because if someone would have said it to
Yeah.
me, if I would have heard someone say that, all those years of feeling broken beyond repair, feeling
Yeah.
like a freak, feeling like I couldn't tell anyone because, right, it's
Mhm.
who could, I can't, they're gonna look at me in such a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And so, while
Yeah,
it's
there's something wrong with you.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I believed it, so
Yep.
any reaction I got would have confirmed that.
Yeah.
But if you're a person sitting out there that's been where I've been, somebody
Mhm.
willing to say that is powerful. And I guess
Absolutely.
what I got to is a point of, I'm willing to risk the consequences of sharing my story openly and
Mhm.
honestly.
Yeah.
What what I realized I
Yeah.
had to give the people I could help.
Yep.
I'll take whatever you wanna say about me. I'll take whatever you like, whatever. I am thick-skinned, and I will try and engage you in a conversation because I do
Mhm.
really like to understand people, and okay, this is your view. What if I give you some different information? Maybe it'll
Yeah.
change, maybe it won't. I can't say, but
Yeah.
I'm never letting anyone take my voice away again.
No. Oh my god. No. I'm with you on that. And I wanna say, like, you're reminding me of I heard somebody say this once, and it just landed in me so deeply, and they said, "The moment you give yourself permission to not be for everyone is the moment that you're free."
Yeah,
And
it's
I
true.
was like, "Halla freaking Luya," because I hadn't quite when I heard that, I hadn't quite fully done that and gotten to the point where I don't give an F anymore what people think.
Right. No,
Because I
because
struggled with the visibility piece
yes.
for so many years. When I decided to come online and start a business, I was like, "Yeah, let's go. This is gonna be great." And then it was like my body was like, "Ee," like the reaching the brakes going, "Oh, girl, you wanna go out there? You go right ahead. Have
Right.
fun.
Where
I'm staying right here
right
because like
here.
that doesn't feel good. That feels like really scary, and I'm just
And
gonna
it
shut
is.
down."
And it is, but to me, and this
Yeah,
has happened several times in my life, the fear of the known versus the unknown. The fear of the
right.
unknown becomes so great that it's intolerable. I
Mhm.
want to take a second and acknowledge Denise, who's
Oh, yeah.
in our comments, who is a
Yes.
fierce warrior woman who has just started a journey just several weeks ago, months maybe, where she started to disclose a little bit of her story. And I see here in the comments that she said, "You guys would be proud, Nancy Barrows and Brian Schulman." She put "but," and I'm gonna take that out of there because it does not, "But I'm proud of you no matter what." She said,
Yeah.
"I was sexually abused by my father, and I'm not freaking out when I hit send." And that is like
I got chills.
chills. I have total
Chills,
chills, and
chills. Oh, Denise, so much love,
beyond
girl.
beyond proud, I am so happy for you.
Yeah.
And I have like, and what comes next? And you guys give the love to
Yeah.
Denise. This is not easy to put out there.
No, it's not.
Um,
It's not.
It's not, and it's scary, and I remember doing it because you think everybody's gonna change how they look at you and how they feel
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
And I will say I change how I look and feel about you, and that everything I think about you, Denise, everything I've known to be true about you is amplified.
Yeah.
It's just amplified.
Yeah.
So,
And
bravo.
it's so healing. It's very, very like when we begin that vulnerability to visibility journey and
Mhm.
discovering our voice and stepping out and standing in our truth and owning our truth and speaking our truth, it's cathartic. That journey
Yeah.
that we go on to do that becomes part, at least for me, became very much part of my own healing. So every time I came
Mhm.
out and talked about my sexual abuse in my childhood, which was my uncle from age 3 until at least 10 or 11, I don't know, but it went on for years. And I told one of my parents, my mother, and I was not protected. And so I was re-traumatized, right? So there was that element of it. But you know what? That is the truth of my story. And that is what I went through.
Right, and I always say I had the best of a horrible situation. My core family was safe. My parents never doubted. They believed in therapy. They
Mhm.
believed in getting me resources. They believed in following my lead to some extent, you know, and they knew when to kick me back into play. When I
She's in her
disclosed it,
car crying right now. I just want to,
Denise, let it
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Let it all flow, love. Let
yeah.
it all flow.
Let it
You
go.
I
Let it
know, let it
go.
go. You're
Don't
incredible.
stay frozen, girl. Let that shit go.
Yeah, you are
Oh,
again, I am proud
sorry to
doesn't
interrupt you. Just,
no, proud doesn't I could sit here and talk about Denise all
I
night,
know.
just
I know.
proud doesn't begin to cover it.
Yeah.
Denise, I have so many feelings and I wish I had the vocabulary to express them, but
Yeah.
I am mostly feeling this incredible exhale and
Mhm.
excitement for you.
You
For
know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, and I say this a lot, I say, "Hooray for our side, our side.
yeah,
Hooray for our side."
yeah.
Another one,
There's another warrior, another
another
woman
one
who's living
is
a little
born.
bit more
Another one is born. Yep.
yeah, and I say another woman, and that's not fair because men experience
Oh,
sexual abuse and assault too,
they
and
do.
it's even harder. It's even
Mhm.
harder. That
Yeah.
locker room mentality, wow, you were
Yeah.
10 and your 16-year-old babysitter,
Yeah.
abused you? That's
Yeah.
not abuse, dude. Slap on the back, good job. Like, "Hey, high
Yeah.
five." No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Trauma is trauma.
And
Trauma
we live out the trauma response in so many different ways. So many different ways.
married
Through
16 years, woke up one day and realized I had recreated the abuse dynamic emotionally in my marriage.
Mhm.
That's years and years of therapy later.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And it, the lack of boundaries, the codependency issues, the addiction in my story, the self-harming in my story,
Mhm.
in my lived experiences, all those things, and all of it actually ended up manifesting into the MS, the chronic illness that took me
Right.
out for 7 years and had me on the couch or in bed, homebound,
Mhm.
sick, disabled for almost 7 years. And I mean, I've healed. That's a whole nother story, but that's not what we're here to talk about. The point being that trauma gets stored in the body
Oh,
in
yeah.
3 ways. It gets stored in cellular memory, generationally. It gets stored through emotional suppression by closing off our throat chakras, not speaking our truth, stuffing it down. It has to, where do our emotions go? If we're not allowing them to complete their cycle of motion through and out of the body, where do they go? They don't. They get lodged in the body. That's the work I do, the emotional
Right,
releasing and the energy
yes.
releasing those energetic attachments out of the body. And then the emotional suppression and then the energetic attachments. And the energetic attachments are what keep us tethered to those old events.
I had no idea that I don't even know, I was an energy worker, for lack of a better like, I always thought it was just who I was, and I had no idea that what I was doing was people just came to talk to me. They always felt better after they talked to me. It was always this
Yeah.
piece, and I had no idea
You mean like an empath?
yeah, that I'm
Yeah.
empathic and that I'm a
Yeah.
transmuter. Like, you
Yeah.
bring me your negative, and I return it
Mhm.
to you positive.
Me
Like,
too.
yeah, it's
Since I was young.
yeah,
I'm like,
exactly,
why
like
do complete strangers just come up to me and start telling me their life?
totally, 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 and so that energy piece that I know people sometimes are like,
Mm.
"Ooh, woo, woo, witchy, whatever."
Thank you,
Um,
Bruce, for sharing that. Sorry to
right,
interrupt.
it's okay. No, 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 what did I
Yeah.
miss?
Bruce is just saying, yeah, the codependency is a silent disabler, and it's holding him back for decades. Now it held him back for decades. Now
And
he's free.
he just recently told some of his story on LinkedIn too, did a
Yeah.
post where really sharing himself with the world. And again, that healing, that getting it out of yourself. And I'm probably about to put in the
Yeah.
comments, like you have to sit through your emotions, not just with them. Right? You have to sit
Right.
through them. It's like a wave. They're going to crest,
Mhm.
they're going to recede. You've got just let the
Yeah.
whole cycle happen.
Yeah. And
Um,
I wanna, can I just speak to that really quick because I'm so passionate about this?
yes,
I
please.
used to think, like, my feelings would kill me. I was
Right.
like,
Oh,
I'm like, I'm in it, like, this is death grip right now. Like, I'm in death grip DEFCON 10, right? And what I've since learned, and this is why I'm so passionate talking about this, our emotions, if you can just reframe it and understand, they're just energy.
Mhm.
They're energy. And when you look at the word emotion, E dash motion, they are energy in motion. And when
Mhm.
we stuff them and hold them down and we do not allow them to complete, because all energy is motion, it never stops. Energy is in constant motion, everything is energy, right? And so when we stop their natural cycle of flow, of
Mhm.
moving through and out of the body, that's when dis-ease, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, sets in and manifests.
Absolutely. I experienced a lot of physical pain and a lot of
Yeah.
illness. Um,
Oh, yeah. Fibromyalgia is like one of the top ones
oh
for
yeah, I had a
like
fibromyalgia
autoimmune. Yeah,
diagnosis.
when women have trauma, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I
Yeah,
have the world's most, I don't know, my digestive system is a
yeah,
mess.
yeah.
It's a mess, and I've learned to live with it because some of that stuff I can't undo because some of the changes are, things you can't do anything about, but we know beautiful things about brain plasticity and
Mhm,
and and creating new habits and
mhm.
new deeper grooves in our brain for our
Yeah,
behavior to change. I saw Carlos said something like,
yes.
why is it that we, let me see if I can find it. Why is it that we step into that abuse narrative like so
Yep.
easily? And the reality is because that's what we know until
Mhm.
we learn different tools, make better
It's
pathways in our
familiar.
brain, right? It's familiar. We look for familiar pain. I
Mhm.
say that all the time. Like, if you give
Well,
me
you
the
know what? It feels safe. I'm gonna say it.
exactly,
It feels safe because you know
you
what?
give me back what I
I'm
know.
At least I know what I'm dealing with here, but if I go over there, I don't know about that. That's why
Yeah.
my body was like, "I don't know about that visibility thing, Jen, because like, that doesn't feel good." The hiding thing, I'm not happy hiding, but it's familiar and it's safe.
Oh, absolutely. Give me what I know because I
Yeah.
know how to survive in this system, which
Yes.
is really important to be aware of. And that's what happened
Yeah.
in my marriage is I slowly slipped into
Yeah.
something that was familiar and easy for me. And it wasn't intentional on either my ex-husband's, part or mine. It wasn't some planned out manipulation. We just both brought our trauma to the marriage and both assumed
Yeah.
roles
Yep.
that fit together in such a way,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I remember my therapist saying to me, like, you realize you've recreated your abuse relationship. And I was like, no, I haven't. No, like, you have no idea what you're talking about. I pay you whatever an hour, but you know nothing.
And you think I realize that?
Exactly. And
This
I'm like,
silly
and like,
woman.
as if I knew, I
I
don't know.
know.
That's why you're saying it to me.
No,
But
actually, this is the first time I'm hearing about that. Tell me
she's
more.
like, "No, tell me I'd like to." And she did. She said, "You've lost your voice. You're surviving on breadcrumbs. Your
Mm,
needs don't matter." Like, and she
mm.
went through, and
Down the
I
list,
literally
litany.
said,
Oh my
"I
god.
recreated my abuse
Oh my
relationship
god.
emotion." Yeah, and was devastated. And I was in my
Yeah.
40s. I've been
Yeah.
in and out of therapy since I'm 16 years old.
Yeah.
And again, I like to remind people, it doesn't mean I failed. The fact that I go back to therapy and like I graduate and go back, it's not a failure. It's
No.
a sign of a healthy human who knows when she needs help and values herself enough to seek it out. And that's huge to just know that there are going to be times where you need somebody else's help
Mhm.
and someone to talk to and somebody who has skills that
Yeah.
are different than yours. And
Yeah.
it's not a failure. It's
And part of
valid.
part of the healing journey, Nancy, which is so important, and I can't say enough about this, especially for women. I don't know about men. I'm sure there are some men that deal with this, but receiving.
Mhm.
You know, the topic of receiving and allowing ourselves to receive the care, the love, the pleasure, the accolade, whatever it is, to be in that season of receiving for ourselves because one of my protective mechanisms because of my abuse was give, give, give because receiving it's too vulnerable. I can't let go because if I let go, I'm out of control. And if I'm not in control, I'm not safe.
Well, and if I'm not
So,
giving, what does anyone want from me? It started very young, giving my body to someone else
right,
without my permission.
right.
Whatever you wanted, I would give you, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
How can I be of
Yeah.
service to you?
Yeah, and mine was an exchange for chocolate, and that began my lifelong
Right?
relationship, dysfunctional relationship with self-soothing with chocolate, which I'm gonna get emotional because it was the first thing I picked up as a little girl to self-soothe,
Yeah.
and he lured me in with chocolates. I've never talked about this publicly. This is the first time,
Oh my God.
and,
Yeah.
at 52 years old, last July, I put it down. I said, "I'm done with sugar, I'm done with
I
chocolate.
remember that.
I'm done." And I am now approaching 8 months free of self-harming with chocolate and sugar. And it took me 5 decades. This is what this type of trauma and abuse, how deeply
Right. And that you could finally
survives.
recognize where that came from,
Yeah.
right?
And you
And
know what? My yes, and I wanna say my vulnerability to visibility journey has played such a huge role in my ability to get here.
mhm. Yeah.
And that's why I'm so passionate about talking about this.
Same. I mean, like I said, hi, Raquel. She said she was gonna be out with her
Oh,
dad. I see her. She's out with her dad for dinner. But hey, Raquel. And that's the thing is like the more I go on this journey and the more I share my story, the more I learn. Like I spend a lot of time. And by the way, thank you for sharing that. That is brave and bold, and
yeah.
I appreciate that. But I spent a lot more time with my story in the last year than I really have over all those decades.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it differently and re-examining
Mhm.
it and sharing it, and
Mhm.
feedback from people make me realize, oh, well, well, that's it. I I'm gonna sit with this for a minute. Let me see where this goes. Let me write about. There are places, right? I shared recently, which I don't think I'd ever shared before publicly, my birthday. I was born on my grandfather's birthday.
Mm.
And so from the time I was
You
born,
shared that.
he told me I was his
Yeah.
gift. I was his birthday
Wow.
present. And that was enough in my little brain
Oh god.
to connect that that meant I was his, right? And
Yeah.
and think about it, when you get your birthday present, it's one of the few times no one tells you you have to share it.
Right.
Like, those are those special gifts that, like, you don't have to share with your brother.
Yeah.
And so in on some level, that translated to I'm
Yeah.
his. He gets to do what he wants,
Yeah.
right? And it's these small places of things that, like, I hadn't really thought of that in a very long time,
Mhm.
or processed exactly how that was connected,
Yeah.
um, until I was coming upon my birthday and was like, "I'm in such a different place. I wanna receive. I wanna
Mhm.
celebrate. I wanna be celebrated. I want to show up. I want to step into this place."
Yeah.
And it's another place of like, "Gosh, why would I give him a minute more? Why would I give up
Mm.
anything else to this person?"
Yeah.
Right? And there it was.
Yeah.
And it's all because I've been sharing my story with other people.
Yeah. It's catalyst.
Mhm.
The visibility and the vulnerability are catalysts.
Yeah.
And that was for me the chocolate. Like that was my tie to him still. That was my
Right.
tie to my abuser still.
And I
And I would
subconsciously didn't like my birthday even. It
mhm.
was like, "What do you wanna do for?" I don't wanna do anything. I don't wanna plan. I don't wanna think of I've been like that for years and didn't connect it back to, yeah, there's still this little piece of you
Mhm.
that is really there was still this little one in there
Yeah. Yeah.
who needed permission to celebrate. I keep her
Yeah.
close by all the time. This
Oh,
little one,
absolutely.
she is
Precious.
she's
Precious.
brave and brilliant, and
Mhm.
for anyone who's going through something, I really encourage you to get a picture of yourself when you were little, when what
Mhm.
was happening, because looking at her face, I would not speak to her the same way I do speak to
Yep.
myself at times, or had spoken to myself at times in the journey,
Yeah.
because I was using my adult brain to think about what I should have done or should have known at 4 or 5 years old.
Right.
All I know is that she figured out how to survive, and I thank her for that
Mhm. Absolutely.
every day.
Yep.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
sorry, cats are stepping on the keyboard. And there's so much going on, you guys, in the chat,
In the
and I'll
chat, I know.
I'll do
So hard.
replay, and I will see it, and I feel like there's probably
Yeah.
some really amazing moments of people
We will
sharing here.
definitely I know I will circle back around and,
Yeah, and
really
so
dive into what's going on in the chat because there's a lot there. I'm seeing bits and pieces, but I'm really also absorbing what you're saying and staying in
yeah,
the moment and being present
if
because that's so important as well.
and I just
So,
wanna say if you're sharing something really vulnerable in the comments and we haven't seen it,
yeah,
just put it back in all caps, because I don't wanna ignore
yeah,
anything that's been sharing.
I
It's
know.
really meaningful and brave, and so you can help us out by if you put it in all caps, that would
Yeah,
be
yeah, put it again if it's something that was really,
if it
speaking
was
to you.
speaking to you, meaningful to you, a stretch
Yeah,
for you, a brave moment for you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Ah,
Right?
it's and that's it, like, take the breath and, like,
Mhm.
Denise shares, we
I
choose.
haven't dealt with it until now, and we don't choose to step into I haven't dealt with it until now, and I turned 50 this year.
Okay, so let's reframe that.
Denise shares, yeah.
Yeah, Denise, don't don't beat yourself up for not doing it until now.
Thanks.
Celebrate yourself for being ready and willing
Yeah.
to do the work now.
She's saying she deals with it daily. I pick my face, self-mutilation, another infection, which is serious because if it hits your teeth, you can die. I also have several disease states that come from the stress.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what I want you to know, without it sounding belittling, is you're not the only one. And the reason I say that, when I'm at work and I talk to parents about their child and they've received like an autism diagnosis, I
Mhm.
remind them that the beauty of it being something that is not unique to your child is we know what to do.
Yeah.
We have interventions, we have steps you can take. And so, Denise, to you, yes, you're still dealing with it daily, but now you're dealing with it on a level of awareness and a level of healing. And all that you are doing is very normal,
Yeah.
very, very normal for someone who's experienced what you've experienced.
Yep. You're not alone.
No,
Yeah.
no. And Denise,
And
I
there's
also
always hope. There's always
there's
hope
always hope, and
that
there's
you can
someone.
change that story and you can rewire your brain and rewire the nervous system because
Yes.
we have to remember when trauma hits the body, trauma is an energy. And so trauma hits the body and it actually freezes in the moment. It becomes frozen energy in our bodies. And then it changes our nervous system. And then our nervous system gets rewired in this new way of how
Mhm.
we learn to cope. And it's that high stress levels, right? That we're always on. I worked with a somatic coach for 6 months, and at one of the first sessions with her, I experienced like, she had me slow my movements down so much that it was almost uncomfortable because it was like I couldn't go slow enough, like, it was so foreign to me, but what I learned through that was, like, my body has been living in brace mode. Bracing
So
for the
good.
next hit, whether it's emotional, sexual, physical, because I've had a lot of physical traumas as well, like, it didn't matter, like, all the my body was literally my nervous system was living in brace mode, waiting
And
for
yeah, you're in fight or flight all the time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's it's funny because I remember, through my divorce and working with my therapist at some point, um, going in and being like, "I think I'm okay." Because I had lived at such a high state, like, of awareness, and everything had to be so big for me to feel it for so long, that when it dropped down to, like, "No, this is the bandwidth that most people live with,
yeah,
and not in this constant fight or flight mode,"
yeah,
it was so foreign to me. Like,
yeah,
I literally said, "I think I'm okay." I didn't experience that
yeah,
before,
yeah,
ever in my life,
yeah,
ever.
yeah, absolutely, and I mean, so many of us also I know for myself, I lived, very disassociated
Oh, yeah.
out of my body, and I hover I realized when I got into the energy work, I realized I've never fully landed in my body.
Mm.
I have been hovering,
It's like a foreign, yeah.
hovering like a hoverboard, never really on the ground, never really landing in my body because it wasn't safe.
Mhm.
And so I gotta be that's the brace mode, and that's the energetic brace mode, that's the spiritual brace, it's all the things.
And I realized that one of the reasons it was quote unquote easy for me to be anorexic for so many years, I didn't feel that I was hungry. I was totally disconnected from anything my body was telling me.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize I was hungry.
yeah.
Like, I actually have to still to this day, I it's a practice of mine of like, okay, it's this time, you haven't eaten, check in with your body.
Mhm,
And there are days that I'm running so fast that all of a sudden I am ravenous, like, and I would eat
mhm.
my own arm because I didn't
Yeah,
feel the small warnings and the small
mhm.
little, messages from my body like, "Hey, you
Yeah.
need to stop. You need to use the restroom, you need to drink water, and you need to eat some food."
Yes. Yes. And that's all part of the self-love and the self-care, and that comes back to one of my most favorite quotes by Danielle Laporte that says,
Yes, Danielle,
self-care I know.
her planner.
Self-care
I love her planner.
yeah. Self-care is a divine responsibility.
Mm. And I will say one of the things that I have recently put into words succinctly, I guess, is that the best way to show other people they are a priority to you is to prioritize yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, we and going along with that, we teach people how to treat us.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if we're treating ourselves a certain way, we're modeling for them, right? In
I should.
addition to what we're willing there's 2 things going on. It's like what we're willing to tolerate within ourselves, and then there's what we're willing to tolerate from other people, and we're teaching in both of those arenas.
Absolutely. I said to a friend recently, actually, like, if you don't, whatever it was, if you don't do this, if you don't show that you value yourself,
Mhm.
how do you expect anyone else to treat you that way, that you as you
Right,
have value?
right.
Right? You're
And
not.
really, so, where does one begin to, how somebody who's out there like, "Well, I don't know how to do that. Where do I even start to do that?" And I always say, let's keep it simple and get back to basics, what you talked about. Start hydrating. Start
Mhm.
making sure you're drinking good just start by drinking, make a commitment to drink however much water every day, you
I
know?
started by making a promise to myself that I was
Yes.
gonna drink a certain amount of water before a
Yep.
certain time,
Yeah.
right? That was the first step for me.
Yeah. Hydration is I mean, water breath is life and water is life.
Yeah,
Breath
and that
work is another wonderful and it's free.
right, and
Doesn't
you can
cost
do it anytime, anywhere.
Yep. Yeah, and it goes
You
with
don't
you
need any
wherever you
special
go.
equipment. Yeah, you don't need any special equipment or setting, you can just
That's a
yeah,
tool
and
belt in your tool belt that goes with you
oh,
wherever you
totally, the
go.
tool belt, right, we've got so many things, and that's the
Yeah.
thing also is therapy is a great resource, but for a lot of people, it's not an option, right?
Mhm.
It's expensive, it tends to be expensive, but there are so many other tools out
Mhm.
there that you can use, to take these steps of healing on your journey,
Yeah.
um, and that's why I love the Chick with the Toolbelt, right? Like I said, I've been in and out of therapy since I'm 16. I have learned so many different ways
Mhm.
of of coping healthily, of like outlets that are healthy habits to make part of your life. All of
Mhm.
these places where, again, drinking water, if you think about it, so many people, and I know like how many people drink enough water and really think about hydrating their body. I'm super alert about
I
it.
do.
I'm
Yeah.
super alert about it, but it's
I know.
because I made that, right? I made it a priority. I made it a
Right.
commitment to myself. And honestly, when I started doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better.
Right.
And like my skin looks better and like
Mhm.
I don't have headaches as frequently.
Energy goes up, yeah, so
Yeah,
it changes everything.
it does.
The
And so just
water.
these small promises to yourself,
Mhm.
which
Yeah, start small.
right, start
If
small
you're
and
really
know
in a low
and give
place, start
yourself
small.
credit and give
Yeah.
yourself credit. I say that all the time with your gratitude practice. When you are in that deep, dark hole and you can't manage another thing on your mind will just absolutely be the thing that
Yeah.
buries you. Remind yourself and have gratitude for the fact that your heart beats without you thinking about it. Your lungs breathe without you thinking
Mhm.
about it. Your digestive system, your
Mhm.
ears, your eye, all these things that you don't
Yep.
have to think about the ways your body is taking care of you.
Yep.
Because if I had to keep track of, I still have a hard time sometimes of keeping track of my breathing. I will find I hold my breath a lot. That's one of the
Yeah.
things that I do.
Yeah.
And then so
Yeah.
if
That's
I would,
usually one of the first things to go when stress hits, like the breath
yes,
stops. There's a shallow breathing, right? And then the tension sets
right.
in and yeah,
And so if I
triggers.
was responsible for breathing 24/7 on my own,
Yeah.
I will fully admit I wouldn't last very long. I'm not good
Yeah.
at it. My body takes care for me.
Yeah.
And so there's so much gratitude starting just there. And I know because I've been in the place where like there's nothing I'm grateful for. I can't think of a single thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this anymore. I've fought hard enough.
Mhm.
I am strong enough. I do not want to learn another lesson. I do not need to, maybe I prove it to myself. I am
Yeah.
happy where I am. Leave me the fuck alone,
Yeah.
universe. Right?
Yeah. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done. I put my hands
Enough.
up.
Enough.
No,
Enough already.
uncle, I
Yeah.
forget. And I've said there are times in my life where I've said, and I think it's partially true. The first part isn't, where I wasn't here to be happy. I was here to help other people find their happiness
Mm.
because I was good at that for other people. And I believe that was it. And it takes time, energy, effort to change that narrative. But
Mhm.
I'm here to be happy. And part of my being happy is teaching others to find their voice, their
Yeah.
authenticity,
Yeah.
take off their mask,
Yep.
radiate real, all those pieces. That
Yeah.
brings me joy. That feeds my soul. But I can only do that if I'm operating from a place of doing the same.
Right. And that's I talk a lot about authentic visibility. And authentic visibility starts within.
Hmm.
And that's what you're talking about. It starts with ourselves. It starts with awareness and being honest with ourselves. It starts with like setting and honoring our own boundaries within ourselves and for ourselves, right?
Hmm.
And it all starts from there and ripples out.
Yeah.
We
And
can't
that's
be authentically visible out in the world if we're not willing to be authentically visible with ourselves
with ourselves, right?
first.
Be willing to see yourself first
Right,
and and give yourself that unconditional love and acceptance.
right.
Not easy at
No.
first. Not easy at first. And I will say hi. Hi. Welcome
Hi,
to live.
Katie.
Hi, Kitty. This is Kitty number 2. It's not easy, and it's not, the other thing that this other sort of myth that's out there. Every decision is going to feel great, and like mental wellness, like you get there. Yes, we need to be intentional and purposeful, but there's this like sort of narrative out there that like you get good and that's it. You're done. Congratulations. You did the therapy, you did the work, and you're good. It's like you get a plaque on your wall and you're done. Here's my diploma. It's a lifelong daily journey
It's a choice.
to prioritize, yes,
Mhm,
your own mental wellness.
mhm.
And so I think there's a lot of people who feel like, well, see, I was fine and now I'm not, and somehow you failed, or somehow it's abnormal, or that's life. There's a
Yeah,
dichotomy of all of it.
yeah,
And when we accept that, right? This is a daily practice, a daily commitment to yourself. You wake up every morning and you say, I choose me again today because,
mhm,
right? Why would I choose myself because? Why?
mhm.
Right? And then you have that reason. Do it every morning. And I don't care if you use the same reason over and over and over again, but I choose myself because I'm making a difference. I choose myself because I deserve a life, a rich, fulfilling life. I choose myself because whatever it is, because I have to feed these monsters every day and they depend on me. Hey, that's
Mhm.
purpose and reason, right?
Yeah.
It's but it's a powerful thing. Setting your intention, the words you use to yourself, write
Mhm.
them down, say them out loud.
Words have so much power, and
No
you
void.
can change the meaning and that you're assigning something, the meaning that you're experiencing something by just changing one word
Yes.
or taking out one word
Yeah.
in what you're saying.
And Brian Schulman put it there, no word is void. I say that a lot. No word is
Mm,
void. Every word has its own vibration. Every word has its
absolutely.
meaning, and words make a difference.
Yeah.
Our brains believe us. Our
Yeah,
brains
whether it's real or not, or true or not.
our
Yeah.
brains are like cheerleaders, and if
Doesn't
I
know the
tell you my
difference.
brain enough that I'm a banana,
Yeah.
eventually it's gonna go like, "Okay, you're a
Yep.
banana."
Yep.
It wants to believe us, and it's incredible that when you understand the power of that, how you can change that around. Just
Yeah.
like I said to Denise, let's reframe this.
It's all about
You're not
reframing.
yeah, you're not gonna beat yourself up that you're 50 and first doing this. Wow. You have
Denise,
come
yeah, and I wanna say, Denise, I woke up at 50 2 years ago asking myself, "What the hell is wrong with me?" Like, throwing my hands up. I've been showing up for myself for decades, doing the inner work, and here I am still walking around with this deep weighted ball of sand and blah, 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 right? And the universe was like, "There's nothing wrong with you, kid. You've done a great job, but you're energetically attached." And then that's when energy came into my world and
Mhm.
workers were put on my path, and I started doing the energy work, and then I was released, and
Yeah,
that's what untethered me finally, right? So I always like to say, like, there is, and that's the old default, what's wrong with me? There is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing
mhm.
wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with any of us. We are not broken. I'm so sick if I hear another person say I'm broken or I was broken. We're
Got
not
to
broken.
be fixed. I got
We are
fixed.
not broken. We are deep down at the core. We are whole. We came in here whole and we're exiting whole. There's just a lot of layers and
Right.
there's a lot of unlearning
Yes.
in
So
order to remember the truth of who and what we are.
right, to go back to what you were born with.
And that it's love, light and love.
Yeah.
That is
No,
what we are. And
it's
all these
touch.
imprints and all the traumas and the imprints and the conditioning that imprint on us and dent and change us, um, that's the unlayering, that's the shedding of those layers and that conditioning in order to come back home to the truth of who we are.
Right. So we're all born with everything we need. With
Absolutely.
everything we need. And as I like to say, it's already happened. You're just catching up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Denise, yes, I
Thank
know
you,
that
Denise. You're
feeling.
welcome.
I know that feeling. And I have to tell you,
You can
you
be released, Denise. I
and
want Denise to know you can be released,
you
and I'm happy to
absolutely
talk to you about that
and
because
she
I didn't know.
and she took a big step toward that tonight.
Yes, she did.
I don't even know that you can understand, Denise, and you will see it in time, how big a step you took tonight to freeing yourself and releasing yourself, granting
Yeah.
yourself that freedom.
Mhm.
Hi, Dan Hall.
Absolutely. And, and that's a big thing too that I'm speaking to is, because I see it so clearly and I believe this, that we are living in a society, in a system of coping. And it's a model, it's a coping model. And we have the power and the ability to choose and decide to shift away from the coping model and settling for coping and stepping into a healing model for ourselves and really, really heal and release ourselves from whatever that garbage is so that we can begin to live free. Like, I literally am here to tell you, we are taught and told that trauma is woven into the fabric of our being and who we are, and we have to learn how to cope and deal with it the rest of our lives. And I'm making a bold statement and saying that's bullshit. If you want to heal and be free, you can. I've experienced it. I've done it. And it didn't happen until 50 years old. So that is the hope, Denise, that I'm bringing on this show tonight is you can be free. And it's never too late.
No, and it's never. And
You're not
again,
stuck with it.
you are not.
You're not stuck with it.
You have the ability
Mhm.
to be everything you want to be.
Yeah.
Whole, released, free.
Everything that you already are,
Right.
sweetheart.
That's true.
Everything
You
you
be everything
already
that you already are.
are.
Yes, that's true.
I'm
Thank you.
getting so
The
like
words are
emotional.
the
Like,
words are important. And
ugh.
it's no, but here's the thing. I say every day that I'm healing, but some days I end up not healed. Sometimes it's just too hard.
Sometimes it
And
is hard.
sometimes it is hard, and
Mhm.
those hard days are part of the healing. It's not that you're
Right,
not healing, it's
right.
part of the healing. I know you said
Yeah.
something earlier about, we just need to remind ourselves every day, Denise, and you said, "Well, y'all do, but I need to do better at it."
No,
You don't need to do
no.
anything, and it's not about better. You
It's not about
choose,
doing. Yeah,
right?
about being.
You choose to be your authentic
Yeah,
self. You choose
yeah,
to unload all this crap that someone put on you.
yeah,
Choose to deepen your relationship with yourself and the world around you.
yeah.
And you're learning new habits. It takes time.
Mhm.
Think about all the time you've lived with it. Think about all the time your trauma occurred. And think about the fact that it's going to take some time to undo it, to get back to.
Yeah.
But it happened.
And there's something I always speak to, and it speaks to this, I wanna share with you and everybody and Denise is it's really about trusting the process and
Oh,
understanding that even if you don't see it, even if you don't feel it, even if you don't recognize it, even if you don't sense it, healing is taking place. As
mhm.
long as you're still here, as long as you've made the choice to heal, it doesn't matter how dark or bad it gets in any given day. Healing is taking place, and that is part of the process. And healing is like life. It's not linear. Life is
Oh,
not linear.
nope.
Healing is not linear. It's cyclical. And Nancy touched on that. It is cyclical. It is not linear. It's not a straight line. It's
And there are some
cyclical, and
things you can't
we
heal.
ride the ebb and the flow.
Yes, and
It's
there
waves of ebb and flow. And it's and I the other piece to it too is people talk about achieving balance all the time. I've kind of thrown that out the window to a certain extent for myself because what I've realized is it's not because to me, balance feels linear. It feels like, it's like this, right? To me, it's about harmony. It's about finding and creating that harmony because I have all these systems like within us. We have everything
mhm.
inside of us we need. There's all these systems, all of these things, right? And so sometimes something's going to move to the forefront and we're going to have to focus on that. It doesn't mean the other things go away or don't
Right.
need attention. It just means they kind of like go to the side. So there's this harmonizing, this dance that we do. And if we can get in that flow, that ebb and flow and of the dance and find that harmony where we can just kind of ebb and flow with all the things and not overwhelm ourselves and take it all on at once and understand this is a process and trusting the process and trusting that this is how healing shows up for us.
And then
And
it's gonna be different for everyone. I call it
yeah,
homeostasis, right? It's where all the sta
absolutely.
all the things coexist together
Yep.
in a system that works,
Yep.
that's functioning. Like, what's my
Yeah.
homeostasis? And
Yeah.
that changes, right? It's again,
Yep.
like you said, there's sometimes other some things are
Yeah.
front and center in my mind, and the rest of the system accommodates to maintain
Yeah.
that homeostasis.
Yeah.
Um, and again, no two healing journeys are exactly the same, so you're
No.
not doing it wrong. There's no doing it wrong. There's
There's
no
not,
who's
no.
doing it wrong.
There's no one size fits all when it comes to healing. When it
Mhm.
comes to, the vulnerability, the visibility, and finding our voice and healing, the healing. And that's the thing about vulnerability, visibility, and voice. You gotta be willing to go there. You gotta do the work.
Mm.
If you
Oh,
wanna
I used
radiate
to
real, you wanna show up, you wanna experience authentic visibility within yourself and radiate that out to the world, show up radiating real, you gotta be willing. That's all it takes.
right, absolutely, and it's the gratitude for all of it.
Mm. Yeah.
It's the gratitude
Yeah.
for all of it. It's the
All of
gratitude
it.
for the darkest, shittiest days because
Mhm.
when the good ones come around,
Yeah.
there's that dichotomy, you know the difference,
Yeah.
you experience them differently, you know
Yeah.
there's hope when you're in that deepest, darkest space.
Yeah.
There's, you know, there's no right sequence,
Mm-mm.
there's no one set of tools. There is, I mean, there is a million things that we could share.
I know.
I mean, that's like my brain is like,
I know. But it's the no one size fits all. There's like it's even
absolutely.
like it's like religion. There's no one way that's the only, you know what I mean? It's like it's different for each person and you get to decide what your healing looks and feels like for you. You get to decide that.
So important because, again, for me, it's like it was finding the right therapist along the way. And I
Mhm.
spent a lot of time with the wrong therapist because I wasn't
Mhm.
ready. I didn't want to do the work. I said I wanted to look like I was
Right.
doing the work, but
Right.
I didn't want to dive into that. I didn't want to walk in and be beaten up week after week. I didn't want to
Yeah.
put cracks in this mask that was quote unquote working, which was horribly dysfunctional. Um, and I share the story. I have a couple of therapy stories where I knew I found the right therapist when my very first therapist that I found, which I was so lucky, I sat behind the couch. I don't know where the idea came from, but I literally moved the furniture, pushed the couch away from the wall so I could sit behind it because I could not tolerate me looking at her, but her looking at me when I said the things that I said.
Mm.
And there was no inviting me back to the front, telling me, like she would eventually got to the point where she pushed before my appointment, the couch was moved away from the wall. And then I have a fantastic therapist here in LA, and great story about Jessica Oifer. Um, Another way, like it's your healing journey and nobody can tell you it's right or wrong. I had a particularly shitty day during my divorce. I had lots of fun, but it happened to be a day that I had
I was like,
therapy.
wow, you just had one?
Well, no, I had a whole lot of them.
What's your secret?
Exactly. This one happened
Disassociation.
Exactly. Those were the dissociation days.
Yeah.
That one happened to be on a Thursday at 4 o'clock. And so she has a Dunkin' Donuts across the street from her office. And I went in and I bought a dozen donuts. And I could only imagine what I looked like sitting there with my dozen donuts because I was pissed. And she opened the door. And the first thing I did is I shoved a box of Dunkin' Donuts at her and said, "You're going to eat these with me, bitch." And without a beat, she said, "Did you get chocolate?" Because there's no one size fits all. There's no one right way. And
Yeah.
it's yours to do with
She
whatever you need to do it, right? So
she must have read the 4 agreements.
So
One of them is take nothing personal.
exactly. Well, and I also came into her lots of days and said, like, "I'm doing great. Don't fuck with it. Like, I feel good today. Don't fuck with it." But that was
It should be on a
my
T-shirt.
yeah, seriously.
I'm doing great, don't fuck with it.
But that's why it doesn't look the same. There's nowhere in a book
Yeah.
that it's going to say, "Bring a dozen
Right.
donuts to your therapist and tell them they're going to eat these with you, bitch."
Yeah.
Like that's not in a book anywhere. That's not in
Right.
anybody's therapy techniques. It's a unique version of what I needed,
Mhm.
what worked for me.
Right.
And I just want to take a moment and thank everyone for being here and everything that you guys
Yeah.
are um, sharing in the comments and all the love and support for us, for one another, for
Mhm.
contributing to the conversation.
Beautiful.
It's really, a, a blessing and a privilege.
Any
It,
day.
it is. It absolutely is. But it's
It
just
is.
like saying that, there's nothing better than a good glass of red wine to an alcoholic.
Yeah.
We're not all given the same right,
Yeah.
Um, we
Yeah.
we experience different things differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember I'm seeing the word chocolate in Kenny D's, comment, and I remember sharing this with you in our private conversation about how I did that practice with myself where I was feeling the energy in my body when I said certain words. And like I
Mhm.
said, I think food and my solar plexus lit up, my power center. And when I said chocolate, my sacral,
Mm.
my sexual area lit up with pleasure. And I had realized I am replacing pleasure, like chocolate is the pleasure center for me. And that was a huge, like, this is the deep work, you guys. This is what what
Right,
we can
and
unlayer and pull to this. And like, I want to say, like, when we're triggered and when things are hard and they don't feel good and we're in that place, just please understand and know that this stuff, a trigger or whatever it is that's coming up, is not coming up to hold you down. It's not coming up to hold you back. It's not coming up to trigger you. It's coming up to be healed. It's
right, it's an
showing up for
opportunity.
you so that you can move it through and out and you can continue to heal and move forward.
Yeah, and some of the hardest places for me, were admitting some of these truths that were distasteful to me. Not
Yeah.
even that they would be distasteful to someone else, but distasteful to me,
Yeah.
and being like, "No, I can own this. It's
Mhm.
terrifying and I don't like it, but I can own it and I can examine it and I can,
Yeah.
really figure out what it's about and I can move past it.
Yeah, and then ultimately be grateful for it, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and it's hard.
It's beautiful when it happens, though.
Right. It's like when you
It's
and I
so
don't even
beautiful. It's
remember
rich.
exactly right.
It's
I don't
rich.
even remember exactly where it happened, but when I finally got there, it was I kind of felt like my back opened up and like I could sprout wings like an angel. Like this
Yeah.
whole opening of like all
Expansion.
this,
Yep.
yeah, that had just been so
Yep.
I had so much hate for that lived inside of me and was part of me that
Mhm.
I finally came to peace with in a way that
Yeah.
looked at it from this angle of look at all this has taught me.
Mhm.
Look at all this has given me
Yeah.
instead of what has this taken from me? I don't
Right. Yes.
right? What has this taken from me?
Yeah.
I
Well, you know what? This is a great way to wrap up the show is our pain is power when given purpose.
Mhm. I always said my story was bigger than me. I just did not
Yeah.
see this was how that was going to happen.
Yeah. So all like now I can stand here and own all of it and be grateful for all of it
Mhm.
because all of that pain has become power because I've given it purpose.
Right. That's amazing. I love that.
And the same for you.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so excited to come on and open this can of worms.
I have chills. I know. I feel like, okay, so
The
we've got to
barrel
go. We
monkeys.
need to do this again.
We need a part 2.
Yes, for sure. For sure need a part 2. Um,
Absolutely. Well, thank you
yeah.
for coming on tonight, Nancy,
Oh,
and
my absolute
it
pleasure.
feels really good to connect one-on-one with you,
Yeah.
even though we're
We
like
are, like, in front of everybody,
had
but
this
we're still
but we haven't
I
had like a
know.
one-on-one in a long time,
I
and
know.
we've been kind of in the peripheral.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I love those friendships where, the person's still out there and
Yeah.
it's just the reach out.
Yeah.
And it's another place where I will say, honestly, for engagement purposes, when you comment on my content, it's always so thoughtful and it's always so me. Do like you it's personal and thoughtful.
Mhm.
And that keeps me feeling connected to you even when I haven't had the
Mm.
opportunity to do
Yeah.
this.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. That's it. It's the connection piece, radiating real.
Yeah. Much love to you, friend.
You
And to all
too.
of you who are with us
I
today, thank
know.
you. It's
Love you
amazing.
all. Well, I got a lot of homework now. I gotta go back through all these comments.
So do
Getting
I.
fun. It's like Christmas.
It's gonna happen. Just give me some time,
Yes,
everyone. It will happen.
yes. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for being here, for the beautiful conversation that has taken place amongst yourselves and interacting with us. And we will each go through and circle back around and share the love with you guys. I'm feeling so much love. I just
Oh,
want to say,
man.
like,
It's gonna
I
be hard
feel
to go to
so
sleep
full right
tonight.
now. I feel
Mhm.
energized and full. So
Yes.
thank you for
My soul is nourished.
yeah, nourished. That's a good word. So yeah. So I hope you guys feel the same. Appreciate you all for being here. Nancy, thank you. I love you.
Thank you. Love
You
you.
are a radiant being of light.
You are
Keep
a conduit
shining.
for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep shining. And I'll see you guys again next week for the next
Yay.
episode of Genergy Vibes. Take care.